Hello everyone, now we will see typecasting in Java. So we'll take a look at and understand quite nicely typecasting in Java. So let's begin. So first let us understand the concepts of widening and narrowing. So by definition, whenever we are assigning a value of some data type to another data type and the data type is bigger in size than the original data type, it is called widening. So I'll repeat. So whenever we are assigning a value of some data type to another data type and that data type is bigger in size than original data type, then it is called as widening. An example of it could be assigning byte value to int value. So let us understand what happens. So as we know that the number of bits in int is 32. So int is 32 bits, and then we have byte data type, and we know that byte is 8 bits. Byte is 8 bits. So what exactly does it mean when I say 8 bits and 32 bits? So the binary sequence of numbers or the memory to store the binary sequence in byte data type is 8 bits and that in int data type is 32 bits. So whenever we have a byte variable, suppose let's say we have a byte variable, b and its value is, let's suppose, say 4. So we have a byte variable b with the value 4. So now the memory occupied by this 4 is 8 bits. So its binary sequence would occupy 8 bits in total in the byte data type. And if we create this same value 4 in a int variable, so suppose I create an int variable named I and assign it the value 4. So now this 4 here occupies 32 bits of memory. So even though the value is same, the occupancy of memory is more on and less. It is more in int and less in byte. So suppose if we have this byte variable b and I am making another variable named, let's say, int c, and I assign the variable byte variable b to this c. So now what will happen here? Even though the value is same, but talking about internal memory consumption, here this C will have 32 bits of int, and this B is 8 bits. It has 8 bits. So what will happen is the 8 bits of this variable B will be copied as it is in the 32 bits of C, and then the remaining space will be filled with zeros. So if this is our memory, then here till here the 8 bits of 4 will be copied, and then the remaining space which is left, it will be filled with zeros. So this is called as widening because the data type was widened. The byte data type, the memory consumption was 8 bits. These 8 bits were widened into 32 bits. So this is called as widening. Now let's see narrowing. So whenever we are assigning a value of some data type to another data type and the data type is smaller in size than the original data type, then it is called narrowing. I'll repeat. Whenever we are assigning a value of some data type to another data type and that data type is smaller in size than the original data type, it is called narrowing. So for example, assigning long value to int value. So narrowing is exact opposite of widening. Narrowing and widening are opposite to each other. So let us understand narrowing. So suppose, so now as we know that int takes 32 bits and long takes 64 bits. So the long data type takes 64 bits in memory to store its values, and similarly int takes 32. So int takes 32 bits inside the computer's memory to store its data. So suppose I have a variable named int a and I have the value assigned to it as 4. So 4 lies inside the range of int and the number of bits occupied by this 4 will be 32 since the data type is int. And then suppose if I have a long variable named L with the same value 4. So now in both these cases, even though the value is same 4, the memory occupancy of long is 64 bits and that of int is 32 bits. So now suppose I make another int variable, suppose int c, and assign it the value of the variable L. So here when I write L, it means that the long variable L which I have made here. So now what will happen is the value will get assigned, but what happens internally is long has 64 bits and int has 32 bits. So suppose now this this is the memory representation. So here like this we have bits. So suppose this is the 32 bit, the 32nd bit is this one, so this is the 32nd bit, and then when we assign this int variable the value of this long variable, these 32 from here till here, so from the trailing 32 bits or from right to left, or we can say from backwards or behind or trailing. So from this direction right to left, the 32 bits will be taken and will be assigned to this int variable, and whatever remaining 32 bits are there here will be lost. So now in our case, since we have the value 4 and 32 bits of int are sufficient to store the value 4. But if we have some value which is not 4, which is greater than the range of int, and we are assigning it to this int variable, this long variable, we have a long value and we are assigning it to a int value, and the value is not in the range of int, then there will be data loss because these 32 bits won't be able to represent the whole number 64-bit number. So obviously there will be data loss, and then these 32 bits resulting in whatever number will be stored inside this int variable. So this is called as narrowing because the data was narrowed. 64 were made into 32. So it was narrowed. So I hope it's understandable. So narrowing is assigning long value to an int value. We can say for example, so narrowing is reducing the number of bits and widening is increasing the number of bits. So when one type of data is assigned to another type of variable, an automatic type conversion will take place if the following two conditions are met. So just as we saw that we assigned here this to this int variable, we assigned this long variable. So whenever we do this in our code, then the 64 of long needs to be get converted in 32 of int. So this either happens automatically or as programmers we are explicitly needed to do that. So for it to happen automatically, there are two conditions which should be met. So let's see those two conditions. So the two types are compatible and the destination type is larger than the source type. So let's first understand this. The two types are compatible. So what does it mean by compatibility? So here we have this number 4 which we are storing in int, and here also we have this number 4 which we are storing in long. So the value here is of numeric type. So this 4 and this 4, so both int and long support numeric data to be stored. So these two int and long are compatible. But if I have a string variable, if I have a string variable and I try to assign it to a long variable, then that won't be possible because string and long, string is to store strings or character data and long is to store int data. So we cannot convert from long from string to long. So this conversion won't be possible. So long and string are both incompatible types, whereas long and int are both compatible types because they store the same data. They both store same numeric data. So the two types should be compatible. So we can do from int to int, int to long, or byte to int, like that. And the destination type is larger than the source type. So we are talking about automatic conversion. So for the type conversion to happen automatically, the destination is larger than the source. So let's see what this means. I'll just clear this up. So now here we have this is our long. Okay, let's say this is our int with 32 bits. And then here we have our byte with 8 bits. So here, as we can see, to convert from byte to int, both of these data types, so here the destination data type is larger than the source type. So here int, I am trying to convert from byte to int. So here int is my destination, and this byte is my source. So as we can see that int has 32 bits to store a value and byte has 8 bits to store values. So obviously int is bigger than byte, so we can store byte values in int values. So the whatever widening conversion will happen from byte to int will be automatically performed by Java, and we aren't needed to do it explicitly. We don't need to write any code for those 32 for these 8 bits to be converted into these 32 bits. It will happen automatically. So why this happens automatically is, let's say we have a byte variable v with the value of 4, and now suppose this is the binary memory representation of this number 4. So suppose this is the 8th bit. So this is the 8th bit, the last bit of this byte. So here from these 8 bits of this 4 will be copied into these 32. So this total, let's suppose, is 32. Then these 8 bits from byte will be copied here, and there would be some more space left. So that space is to be filled with zeros. So even though everywhere here zeros will be filled, and then our data, the binary sequence of our number 8 would be from this 8th bit here, the data value won't be changing. Even if we add n number of infinite zeros, even if we add here infinite zeros in front of this, the value 8 won't be changed at all. So data is preserved in this conversion. When we are widening and the conversion is of type widening, then the data is preserved. Its value is not changed. That's why it happens automatically and we aren't bothered to write code for it. So when these two conditions are met, widening conversion will take place, as I explained, because the destination is bigger than the source. So obviously widening will happen. Then for example, the int type is always large enough to hold all valid byte values. So we know that the range of byte is still positive 128. Still positive 128 is the range of byte, and the range of int is far big. So it is something 2 1 dot dot dot. So it is a quite big number. So 128, the 8 bits of 128 can fit inside the 32 bits of, so these 8 bits of byte can fit inside 32 bits of int. So here int is always large enough to hold byte values, so no explicit cast statement is required. So whenever we are doing widening conversion, we don't need to write any explicit code, but for narrowing we need to write that. So we'll see that now. So for widening conversion, the numeric types including integer and floating point types are compatible with each other. However, there are no automatic conversions from numeric to char or boolean. Also, char and boolean are not compatible with each other. So let's see, no automatic conversion from numeric types to char or boolean. So if we are trying to store any numeric value, suppose we have, let's say this 128 is a numeric value and we are trying to store it inside a char variable, then we will get error because these two types are not compatible, and I have explained that compatibility just now. Also char, also boolean. So boolean values are true and false, and the memory representation of boolean values is completely different from what we know of int and char. So boolean's memory representation is completely another thing. So char and boolean are not compatible with each other, as well as char and boolean are not compatible with the numeric data types. So when I say numeric data types, I mean byte, short, int, float, and long. So we have seen these are the numeric data types. So char and boolean are also not compatible with each other. So now we will see implicit typecasting. So the compiler is responsible to perform this typecasting. So this is the automatic typecasting which I just discussed. So whenever we are assigning lower data type value to higher data type variable, then implicit typecast will be performed. This is known as widening or upcasting. So we have just seen this example. So this is called as widening or upcasting. So upcasting is another name. So be sure to keep this name in mind because it might be asked in MCQ questions. So just keep that in mind. So this is called as widening or upcasting. There is no loss of information in typecasting. So here just make, I'll make this as S. So there is no loss of information in this typecasting. So I have explained, because the recipient, the receiver data type is always bigger than the source data type. So here as we see that int is 32 bits and byte is 8 bits. So int is bigger than byte. So there is no loss of information in widening conversion. So there is no loss of information in this type of typecasting. So now here are the possible widening conversions. So here we have byte that can be converted into short automatically. Then we have short and char. These two can be converted into int. Then we have int that can be converted into long. Then long can be converted into float, and float can be now converted into double. So what does this mean? So here byte has 8 bits, short and char both have 16, int has 32, and so on. So here as you can see that the sizes are in increasing order. So these 8 can be accumulated inside these 16 with extra space left. So here widening will happen, and this will happen automatically. Since there won't be any loss of data, we aren't needed to do anything, and these conversions happen automatically. But if we try to go in the reverse order, now if we try to convert from byte to short, then we will get error because the conversion won't happen automatically. We are needed to do it explicitly by writing code. And one more thing to note is that byte can be directly converted into double, directly converted into float, and directly long, and so on. It is not necessary that as it is shown here, it should be first converted into short. Just keep in mind that the recipient data type should be bigger in size than the source. The destination must be bigger than the source. That is the main condition. And also compatibility is one point, but assuming that data types are compatible, we are talking here. So the destination must be bigger than the source, and the type conversion will happen automatically. So now let's see this by example. So here we have this example, this int variable with this value, this character value. So I have explained this very much, that compiler converts char type to int type automatically by implicit typecasting. So we know that characters have specific numeric values assigned to them. So here if I make this variable int a and I assign it the value 5, and then if I'm printing this, then I'll get 5 as my output. Here you can see I'm getting 5 as my output. But now if I change this value to a and then I run this, then I'm getting 97, because the code for the assigned numeric code for this character a, lowercase a, is 97. So here I can write any character. So what happens here is this is of type char, and here it gets converted into int. So this is implicit typecasting and it happens automatically. So I have demonstrated this previously also, that whenever we assign a char value to an int value, we get a number displayed, because these char values have numeric values associated to them, and these get converted. So this character a and assigning of its equivalent code, that is 97, to this int variable a happens automatically. So now we can understand that why this happens automatically, because we know that int is 32 bits, int is 32, and char is 16. So from 16 to 32 widening conversion happens. So since there is more space with int, the data won't be lost. This 16, the value whatever is there in these 16 bits will be preserved here. So we aren't needed to write any special code for that. It happens automatically. So if you print this, we will get 97 as our output. Now this a here, this value can be anything. Here it is not necessary that we give this a only. So if I just give t here and then I run this, then I am getting 116, 116. So the numeric value for this character lowercase t is 116. Similarly, if I make this now uppercase e, if I make this uppercase e and then I run this, then I am getting 69 as my output. So I hope that this is clear. So you can try it with various values. So here compiler converts the char type to int type automatically by implicit typecasting. So here implicit typecasting is happening internally, and we are getting the equivalent numeric value. Now this is another example. Here we have an int variable with value 10, and here we are printing it. Then we have this double variable d, and we are assigning this value here, and we will get 10.0 as our output. So let me just run this. So this int variable with value 10, then this double variable with this value, same value as this variable a, and then I'm printing this. So here as you can see that this value 10 is same, and for this point 0, so this point 0 is automatically appended or added to floating point values. So to differentiate between a numeric value and a floating point value, this 0 is appended or added at the end of the number. So this 0 won't change the value. If this were 0.1, then the value would be changed. This 10 and this 10.0 won't be same. But since 10.0 is equal to 0, the value here isn't changed. So what happens is, as we know that int is 32 bits, so here int is 32 and double is 64 bits. Double is 64 bits. So these 32 bits are stored inside this 64 bits, and we also have 32 bits extra left. So since there is more space left here, this conversion is widening conversion, and here we are getting this same value as R10. So for multiple choice questions, this might be asked that these sizes will be given, and you might get a question that this 16 and then 32 and then 64, and here similarly you will have multiple options, and you will be asked that using implicit type conversion which of the following is valid. So keep in mind, implicit means automatically happens. So automatically the smaller will get converted into lower. But if you have something like this 32 and then it is being converted to 8 and implicit typecasting is mentioned, then this would be wrong. But if explicit is mentioned, then it can happen. But for explicit, as I have said, that we are needed to write special code, and for implicit we aren't needed to write any special code. Implicit happens automatically. So for implicit this won't be valid, but this will be valid. So such type of questions are common in multiple choice based exams. So let's move on. So now here compiler converts int to double type automatically by implicit typecasting. So now that we have finished implicit, now we will see explicit typecasting. So programmer is responsible for this typecasting, and whenever we are assigning bigger data type value to the smaller data type variable, then explicit typecasting is required, and it is also known as narrowing or downcasting, and there may be a chance of loss of information in implicit typecasting. So as I have said, programmer is responsible for doing explicit typecasting, and the main reason the programmer is responsible is here because there may be chance of loss of information. So programmer should be aware that if is typecasting from is performing explicit typecasting, then there is a chance of loss of data. So the programmer should decide whether the typecasting should be done or not. So whenever we are assigning bigger data type value to smaller data type value, explicit typecasting is required, and it is known as narrowing because the bigger is getting converted into smaller. So it is narrowing or downcasting. So let's see. So in explicit typecasting, bits from end are considered and the remaining bits are discarded. And due to this discarding, the value might change and data loss may occur. So let's see what happens. So suppose this is my one variable memory representation. Here, so these are total 8. So these are total 8 bits here. So let's consider this as byte variable. Byte, and then at this side we'll consider an int variable. This is int variable, let's say I, with the value of 10. So now here these here memory representation, these are total 32 bits, and these 32 bits will be tried to fit inside these 8 bits. So now for representing the number 10, as we know that this number 10 is valid in the byte data type. But now let's see, suppose we have this value 1000. So to represent this value 1000, these 8 bits of byte are not sufficient. More number of bits is required. So these 8 aren't sufficient for representing this value 1000. And if we try to convert from int to byte now, what will happen is the bits from last. So suppose this is, suppose the sequence, the binary sequence of this number 1000, this is the binary sequence. Then what will happen is the 8 bits from ending or from trailing or last or from right to left, so in this direction 8 bits will be counted and taken. So this 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 and 8, so only these 8 bits will be taken and will be stored inside this byte variable, and these remaining 2 bits here will be discarded. So now if suppose that to represent 1000, this is the binary sequence, and now these 2 are left out and only these 8 are considered. So obviously the value will change now. So the data 1000 which was stored is now lost, and there is some random value here and we don't know what that value is. So here data loss has occurred. So for this reason, this is called explicit typecasting. Here narrowing has happened because these 32 are getting converted into 8. So narrowing typecasting has happened, and there is also data loss. So for this, the programmer is responsible because this data loss might create problems in our program. We have given this value 1000, it means that we don't want this value to be lost, and if it gets converted automatically, then there might be problems and mistakes in our code. So to avoid that, it is not happening automatically. It is programmer's responsibility. And keep in mind that this from right to left. So write out the binary sequence, and then from right to left, the trailing. These are trailing 8 bits. So here from here 8 bits will be counted, and those will be stored here. So if this is not byte, and suppose this is of type short, if this is of type short, then 16 bits would be counted. So equivalent to the receiver, equivalent to the destination's number of bits. So here number of bits, this destination is suppose short. So equivalent to destination's bits, the bits from the source will be copied here. The bits from the source will be stored in the destination. And how much will be stored? So as many as the destination can store will be stored. So here this 1000, or suppose we have this 10,000 value now. So this, the binary sequence of this might be bigger than 16 bits. So to store that short might not be necessary. And then if these 32 are being converted into short, then there will be data loss, and for this case this won't happen automatically. So now suppose here I have this byte variable with the value 5, then this byte b the value 5, and I'm printing this byte variable, and I have this, suppose this int variable, the same value 5, and I'm printing this now. Now when I run this, in both cases I'm getting my output as 5. So this int variable a with the value 5, and this byte variable b with the same value 5. And when I run this, so this first, this int value 5 is printed, and then this byte value 5 is printed. But now for this byte variable, I assign this a here, and I try to run this, then I am getting error. This type mismatch cannot convert from int to byte. Where I am getting this error, type mismatch cannot convert from int to byte, because here int has 32. Even though the value is in range, this value 5, this value is in range of bytes. So if I directly give here 5 and I run my program, then I am getting my output. But even though the value is 5 here and it is in the range of byte, and I am running this program, then I am getting error, because our computer will not know that what the value stored in this variable is. It will simply first check the types. It will check whether these types are compatible, then it will go to values. So if the types are not matching, then it won't consider the values at all. It will directly give us error. So now to do this, if we want to specify explicit typecasting, then here we will write the destination data type. So we will follow this syntax now, and now if I run this, then I'm getting 5 as my output here. So what happens here is we are explicitly specifying that convert this value into a byte value, and then assign it to the destination variable here, this destination. So this b here is our destination variable. So now for now let's just ignore this part and see this. So here this, what it will say is, take this variable and convert it to type byte, and then assign it to whatever data type is being used here. So the data type being used here is not of our concern, but what happens here is, take this variable value and convert it to byte first, and then assign. So what it will do is, it will first consider this variable, then it will convert it to type byte. Then here now we will have this value, and then it will check the destination and this source data type. And now since these both will be byte, then it will assign this value to this variable. So I hope that is understood. I'll repeat. So what will happen is, it will first consider this variable. This variable is of type int. Then it will see here. So here we have mentioned that convert it to type byte. So it will convert it to type byte, then it will compare these two data types. So now here we have converted this int to type byte. So it will check these both data types. Since these both are byte, so this value here, whatever value is here now, it can be stored inside this variable. So it will assign the value now. So that is what happens. So we are getting this value 5 here. And now suppose if I take any value now which is in range of byte also, will keep getting same output. But now here if I take this value 130, so we know that 130 is out of range for data type byte. And now if I run this program, then I'm getting my output, but this value here, there is data loss. We are getting negative 126. So why we are getting this negative 126, we'll see further. But now as I've said that there is chance of data loss, and we can see here that data loss is occurring here. So this value 130 is not preserved. Here when it is being converted into byte, what is happening is the 8 bits for byte are taken, this byte you have mentioned here. So here 8 bits are taken and the remaining bits are discarded. So whatever value those 8 bits will give will be assigned to this variable. So those 8 bits are giving out the value negative 126. So those 8 bits are giving this value negative 126, and that value is being assigned to this variable now. So that's why we can see here. So this is the main point, data loss. Because data loss happens, we are needed to do this explicitly. And speaking of syntax, then we are needed to write this destination, this data type in which we want this value to be converted inside this parenthesis. So if we just remove this parenthesis, then we will get error. So if we want to perform explicit typecasting, then we are needed to specify these. This is the syntax. So here there can be any data type. So now if I just give here long and then I run this program, so try to take a guess. So here we are getting, so here it says cannot convert from long to byte. So what happens is this a is first int. So this a is of type int. Then what we are saying is convert this into type long. So it will convert this int a to long a. Then now this value is now long. We have long value here. Then it will try to assign this long to this byte. So since long value cannot be converted into byte because long is 64 bits and byte is 32 bits. So this conversion won't be possible. That's why we are getting this error cannot convert from long to byte. So now suppose if I have here int data type also, then also this same thing will happen, and I'll just change this type to long. And here also first let me keep this long, and now I'm running this. We are getting the same error that cannot convert from long to int. So here this variable a is of type long and we are telling it to convert it to long. So this is pointless. There is no need of writing this because this is the same thing, because this a is of type long only. And now if I just write here int, and then I run this, then I'm getting 130 as my output, because even though the value 130 is in the range of int, but it is stored inside a long variable, so it is occupying 64 bits, and those 64 are needed to be converted into int. And as I have said, the compiler will first check the data types and then the values. So if the data types are not matching, if I remove this, it will check the data type of this a and this b. So since a is of type long and here this b is of type int, so it knows that long cannot be converted into int, so it will just throw us error. It won't even bother checking the values. So we need to explicitly specify here. So if I just make it int here and run this, then we will get proper output. Okay, so now consider this. If I just write here byte, and now if I run this program, so guess this output here and try to understand what happens. So here I am getting this negative 126. So now first let me change this value. Here we are getting 13 as our values. So what happens is it will take first consider this variable. This variable is of type long. So and we are telling it to convert it to type byte. So it will first convert from long to byte. So the series here is long to byte. So this A of type long is converted into type byte, and then it will see that we are needed to convert this byte value now to int. So it will perform now implicit typecasting and convert this to int. So here from long it is being converted into byte, and then byte is being converted into int. There is no direct conversion from long to int. There is byte in between. So long gets converted into byte and then it gets converted into int. So here first the order is, here first explicit typecasting is happening, and then implicit typecasting is happening. So to convert from long to byte, we have performed explicit typecasting, and to convert from byte to int, the typecasting is implicit. So remember this, that implicit is automatic and explicit is not automatic. So we are needed to perform explicit. So the series here is from long. So these 64 will be converted into 8 bits, and then these 8 bits will be converted into these 32 bits. So that is what happening here. And now just as we saw that, now if I keep this value here 130, and when I run this program I am getting this negative 126. But this value 130, even though it is not allowed inside byte, it is allowed inside int. So the value 130 is not allowed inside byte, but it is allowed inside int. But then why it is being converted to negative 126? Or so as I said, we are first converting it to byte. So the compiler won't bother that what is happening here. The operation it has at hand at this moment is convert from long to byte. It won't care, it doesn't bother what is happening here or what is written here. It won't look at that all. It will just first see that I am needed to convert this long variable to this byte variable. So it will convert it. Then it will go at this side. So here it will see that it is needed to convert this byte to int. So it knows that it can convert byte to int automatically. So it will convert it directly from byte to int, and then we will have our final answer. So that is what's happening. So since this byte is in between, so this first these 64 are being converted into this 8 of byte, and then these 8 are going inside int. So here, what if this were just byte? So if this was just it was byte, then we will definitely have the value 126. And since we are having this int value here, so it doesn't matter. Now this minus 126 is permissible inside the data type int. So we are getting the value minus 126 inside our int variable. So I hope that this is clearly understood. So in explicit typecasting, bits from the end are considered and the remaining bits are discarded, and due to this discarding the value might be lost. That is why we are needed to do it ourselves. So I hope the syntax is also clear that writing it. So now let's just see some more example. Here we have converted from long to int. Now suppose if I have this here, this double variable d with this value, and float variable. Now if I run this, so now try to guess the output here, that whether I will get these both statements printed or I will get any error. So now when I run this, I am getting this error. So here, because we are needed to specify here f, so I have explained this in clear detail. So in case you have forgotten, so keep in mind that when we are specifying float value, we need to put this f at the end. So now if I run this, then we are getting the output here. Both of these statements are now printed. But now if I just assign this double value to this float variable and I try to convert this, then I am getting error that cannot convert from double to float. So now to do this conversion, we are needed to explicitly perform it, because double is 64 bits. Here double is 64 and this float is 32, and this float is 32. So from 62 we are converting to 32, so there narrowing conversion is happening. So we need to specify this explicitly because there is chance of data loss. So following the syntax, this opening parenthesis, then this keyword, the destination data type in which we want it to be converted, and then the closing parenthesis. And when I run this, so now here we are getting this value here till here, but now here these end values, these two are lost. So as we can see that there is clearly data loss. So for this reason explicit typecasting is used. So what will happen is it will first consider this double variable d, then it will see that it is needed to be converted into the type float. So it will then convert it to type float, then it is to be assigned. So it is to be assigned to this variable f, and the type of this variable is float. So it will perform this operation in this manner. So it will convert it from double to float, then check these two data types, and since these two are matching, it will just perform the conversion. So now if I write here int and then I run this, so here I am getting this as my output. So what happens is this value gets converted into int first, and then that int value gets converted into this float value. I hope that is clear. So now this is an example here. So this int variable a with this byte value, and when we run this, we are converting it to byte, and when we run this we will get this output as 120. So in this case the value is being retained, but the value won't be retained in all the cases. If this value here would be anything more, if this would simply be 150, then 150 is out of range for data type byte, so there will be data loss. So for that reason we are needed to perform explicit typecasting, and that is what we have performed here. So in the above example, there are 32 bits of int value 120. So 32 bits for representing this int value 120. However, to represent the number 120, 8 bits of byte are sufficient. So we know this, I have explained this, that 8 bits of byte are sufficient. That is 120 is in the range of allowed values of data type, and that is the reason we get both values with same variables. So we got same value in both variables. So since this value 120 is in the range for type byte, we are getting the same values. But I have shown you executing code that if the value in the int variable would be something that is out of bytes range, then we will get error. Now let's see the second example. Here this value is 130, and when we try to convert this to type byte, we are getting negative 126 as our output. So I have explained this. So in the above example, since the value 130 is out of range for type byte, only least 8 bits are considered. The bits from right to left, the 8 bits from right to left are considered. So binary of 130 is this. So this is the binary sequence which is 8 bits. But since MSB is considered as sign bit, the number is considered as negative, and 2's complement of remaining the numbers is taken, and the final answer is negative 126. So let me explain what is happening here. So the binary sequence of 120 is this 1 0 0 0 0 0 1 0. So this is the binary sequence of 130. But if we count here, then this is 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 and 8. So these are 8 bits and byte has 8 bits. So why can't this be converted to byte? Because in this binary representation, the most significant bit, the MSB or most significant bit, so the MSB here is this 1. So this one is used to represent the sign. So this is universal convention. So always keep this in mind that in binary representation, if this most significant bit is 1, then it is negative. So this most significant bit is used to represent the sign of a number. So whatever value is being stored here, this MSB is used to represent its sign. So if this is 1, then the number is negative. So if it is 1, then the number will be negative, and if it is 0, then the number will be positive. So 1 represents negative value and 0 represents positive value. So now for this sequence here, so what will happen is, so the binary of 130 is 1 and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 zeros. Here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 zeros and then 1 and 0. So this is the binary representation of the number 130, which is 8 bits. But here this is representing this, to represent the number 130. These bits are only used, these whole bits are used to represent this number 130. So to represent this number 130, this whole 8 bits are used. And then to indicate its sign, there is another bit at here, its left side. So since this variable is of type int, so since here the value, this variable, this 130 is stored in an int variable, so here 32 bits are used. So these 8 bits are for storing the value, and then there is another bit here, the 9th bit, it is used for indicating the sign. So here it will be 0, indicating the sign of this number. So when this, the conversion from byte to int is happening, from int to byte is happening. So now just keep in mind that these total 8 bits are used to represent this number, this value 130, not its sign. To represent its sign, there is another bit towards its left, and since the type here of 130 was int, the type is int here in the program, that is why it is having 32 bits. So 8 bits for representing the value 130, and then the 9th bit is representing the sign. But in the case of byte, there are only 8 bits allowed. So what byte will do is, it will just take these 8 bits. So byte will just take these 8 bits, and then by convention we know that the MSB is representing the sign. So this one now is the MSB, because only 8 bits are allowed and 8 bits are taken. So these 8 bits are taken, and then their sign is checked. So here this one is representing the sign. So these total 8 bits will be taken by byte, and as we know that the MSB is indicating the sign. So now it will see that there is 1. So since there is 1, it will understand that this number which is being represented is a negative number. And then what it will do is, here, so binary of 130 is this, and which is 8 bits, but MSB is considered a sign bit. So it will take this one and it will consider this one as the sign bit. And whenever this negative number is encountered, then 2's complement of remaining bits is taken to get the answer, which is 126. So for understanding this, some knowledge of the Boolean arithmetic and the binary logic is required about 1's and 2's complement. If you know that, then well and good. If you don't know, then just don't pay much attention. But keep that in mind that whenever negative number is represented, it is represented using binary only, and the MSB is 1. And whenever MSB 1 is encountered, the 2's complement of these remaining bits is taken. So it will take 2's complement of these remaining bits. Whatever the 2's complement for these remaining bits is, so from this 0 till this end here, this, for this whole part, in excluding this one, for this whole numbers, this remaining 7 bits or these remaining 7 values, it will take the 2's complement of this number. And when this binary sequence taken 2's complement and then converted into decimal, so first it will take 2's complement, then it will convert it into decimal value. So the decimal value would be resulting in 126. So when it is converted into decimal, the resultant would be 126. And since this there is 1 here, it is indicating negative value. So this minus sign would be added here. So the total number 126 is obtained in such fashion. So I hope that is clear that whenever a 1 is encountered at MSB, it indicates that the number is a negative number. So 2's complement of the remaining bits is taken, and then the resultant binary value is converted into decimal, and that decimal is our answer. So here in our case, the converted decimal would be 126, and since this 1 is indicating negative here, this negative sign is added here. So this is the example here. So the binary, these are the 32-bit representation. So these are total 16 bits. So even though this is int, only 16 bit are considered, because here there are either way zeros only, so there is no point in taking them. So here these these till here these bits are representing the number 130. So if we just convert only this much binary sequence to decimal, then we will get 130. And then this bit, this bit is denoting the sign. This ninth bit is denoting the sign. So what will happen is, here when this is taken in, here these 8 will be taken for byte. So when these 8 are considered here these 8 are considered. And since this one is sign bit, the most significant bit is sign bit, then the 0 indicates positive value and 1 indicates negative value. So since this is 1, it is considered as negative value, and since it is negative value, this is taking 2's complement. So here this operation is taking 2's complement, and then after taking 2's complement, this is the resultant value. And when we convert this binary sequence into decimal, we will have the value 126, and then the negative sign will be added to it. So here this is the conversion from binary to decimal. So this is a binary to decimal conversion, and this is decimal to binary conversion. So if you want to get binary of any number, we will simply go on dividing the number with 2, and whatever the remainder is there, we will keep writing it. And then after we get 1. So now that we have gotten 1, the number can be further divided. And then this is taken from bottom to top. So from down to up or bottom to top, this is considered, and then this would be the binary sequence of this number. So like I said, to understand all of these, the logic, the knowledge of the binary logic is required. So even if you have not understood this, just let it go. Just keep in mind that whenever we are representing the numbers in binary, the most significant bit is the sign bit. So here for this, suppose this int this variable x is 32. It is 32 bit. So here amongst those 32 bit, the most significant bit. So the most significant bit would be 0, and then there would be the bits still here for representing the number. So previously I said that this 0 was used for representing the sign, but I said wrong. Sorry for that. So not this, but the most significant bit. Here, write this down that the most significant bit is used to indicate sign. So in this 32, the most significant bit, the first bit from left to right would be 0. That would indicate that this int value 130 is positive. And here in this bytes case, here this 8, here this is negative. So since this is 1, it indicates negative. So since this most significant bit of the sequence of 130 is 1, the most significant bit is 1, it is considered as a negative value, and the conversion from negative to positive using 2's complement is done. So here consider this example. So here when this conversion is happening, so the conversion from this decimal values to this floating point values to non-floating point, we will see that in a moment, but just see that we have seen this example previously, that since 120 is an allowed range of byte, we will get 120 as our output, and these remaining here, this data, this floating point data will be lost. So I hope that this whole example is clear, and then now we will consider this now. So here we are having this double variable a, and the value of this is 120.225, and then this value is being converted into byte, and then it is being printed. So for converting from floating point values to integral values. So when converting from floating point values to integral values, there are two points to be kept in mind. The floating point values are lost for sure. So these floating point values here, this 0.225, these will be lost for sure. There is no way of retaining these values when converting from floating point to integral values. So these value will be lost for sure, and then the integral number left is then converted normally. So the conversion which we saw previously, then we would have a resulting integral number, and then that would be converted. So that is what's happening here. So first these 225, this 0.225 will be discarded. After that we will have this integral value 120. Then this integral value 120 will be converted into byte. So now let's see this in code and understand further. So this double variable d with the value 120.225, and then we have this byte variable b, and this is being converted to byte, so we'll add this, and then we will specify the variable d. So here we are converting this byte variable d to this double variable d to a byte variable. So now when I run this, here I'm not printing this, so just let me print this byte variable 2. Here this by double value is being converted into a byte value. So what happens here is we saw that the decimal part is lost for sure. So this 0.225 will be gone. Then only considering this value 120, it will now be converted into int. So since 120 is in allowed range of int, it will be converted to byte, and the value 120 will be retained. But now if there is this 150, or just take 130.225, and now when I run this, I'm getting negative 126 as my value here, because what happens here is this floating point part here, this decimal part will be lost, and then this 130 will be converted into byte. So we just saw the conversion of 130. Now the previous example we saw the conversion of 120 from integral type to byte here. So that is what will happen here. So the order is take this variable, double variable, then convert it to byte and then assign it to this byte variable. So I hope that this is clear. So when converting, these 2 points are to be kept in mind that the floating point values are lost for sure and the integral number left is then converted normally. So in the above example, the floating point values are discarded. Then since the number 120 is in allowed range of byte, we get 120 as our answer. And for this example, we saw this case also that when we run this, then this part, this floating point part will be discarded and then this 342 will be converted to byte. So let's just see this. Here we have the value 342 and the digits here won't matter because they are either way going to be discarded. So here these values will be lost and then the 342 is converted to byte. So in the above example, the floating point values are lost, then the number 342 is not in range of byte. So only its trailing 8 bits are taken and the rest bits are lost. So the binary sequence for 342 is this 1010101110. So these are total 9 bits and to convert to byte we will consider only 8 bits. So only these 8 bits are considered. Only these 8 bits will be considered and this one is now lost. So for these 8 bits will now be converted into byte. So now since the most significant bit here is 0. So this most significant bit 0 indicates that this number is positive. So no, nothing stuff like 2's complement will be done whenever we encounter this most significant bit as 0 indicating a positive number. The value will be directly converted into decimal. So this 10101110 directly converted to decimal will give us the value 86. So only taking 8 bits we will get this 010101110 and whose decimal value is 86. So we will get 86 as our final answer here. Here we are getting 86 as our answer. So I hope that this example is also clear. And now we will see the difference between this b equal to b plus 1 and this b plus plus. So this simple arithmetic operation of b of addition, this arithmetic operation of addition and this post increment. So we have seen this in operators part. So now let's understand the difference between these two. So we know that these both will perform the same operation. So let me just demonstrate it. Suppose I have this int variable with the value 4 and I have this int variable b with the value 6. And here I am just printing a plus 1. And here I am printing b plus plus. And now if I run this, then we are getting 5 and 6 because 1 is added. So in this case here, in this value 4, 1 will be added, that will be 5, and we are getting here 5 as our output. And here this b plus plus. So this is post increment. So I have explained this difference between pre increment and post increment. So here first this 6, this value will be returned, and then to avoid confusion, let me just do it here, and then I'll print this variable b here. Similarly, I'll just do a assign a plus 1, and I'll just simply print this a here. Now when I run this, I'm getting 5 and 7. So here this in this variable a 1 is added. So in this 4 1 is added, and then we are getting 5, and then that 5 is now assigned to this variable a. So here when this a is encountered, this value 4 will be considered. Now 4 plus 1 5. Now this arithmetic operation is performed. Now to this value, assign that value to this variable a. So that is what is happening here, and then we are printing it here. Then b plus plus, and then we are performing this post increment operation here, and then we are printing this. So here this 6 is incremented by 1 using this post increment operation, and then we are printing this. So we are getting this 7 as our output. So as we can see that both of these are doing the same thing of incrementing the value. Here this value is incremented by 1, and here also this value b is incremented by 1. But so we can say that they are performing the same operation, but there is a subtle difference between these two, and we will see now this difference. So here consider these two examples. Here byte b equal to 10, and then b plus 1, this printing. So we just saw this example. So here we have just used the data type here int, so it's the same thing. So here when we do this, we will get here 11 as our output. Similarly here this byte b is 10, and then this we are incrementing this using post increment, and then we are printing. So here also we will get the same output as 11. So both of these will be resulting in same answer, but what's important is what's happening internally there. So let's see. So now for example A, so this is example A. So consider this example now. So for example A, as we know, whenever we use arithmetic operators, the data type of the answer is always max amongst int and then type of A and then type of B. So whenever we are using arithmetic operators, the data type of the answer is always max amongst int, type of operand A and type of operand B, where A and B are operands. So here, so let me explain this. So suppose now we have these two variables A and B. So now if I just perform A plus B, let me just print this also. Now here that I am printing the addition of these, so now we are getting this 10 as our resultant answer. But what is the data type of this value 10? This 10 we are getting, but it needs to have some data type. So what is the data type of this value 10? So the data type would be maximum amongst int, then type of A and type of B. So max amongst type of A and type of B and int. So what this means is it will consider the data type int. So int is 32 bits, then it will consider the data type of A, and it will also consider data type of B, and it will take max among these. So what does max mean? The biggest. So biggest in terms of memory consumption. So the memory occupation of int is 32, and here in our case it of type of A. So here the variable A is also of type A. So this will also be int and 32, and the type of B is also int, so this will also be int. So max amongst int, int and int, so it will obviously be int. So here this will be of type int. But now suppose we have this as byte. The type of this is byte. So what will happen here is it will take the maximum amongst int, then the type of A is also int, then the type of B is byte. So it will take max amongst these. So what does max means? Max in terms of memory consumption. So it will take max amongst the 32, int is 32, then here also int is 32, and byte is 8. So here this, it will take max amongst these. So max here is 32 obviously, so it will be 32. That means it will be int. So the type of this will be int. So now if we are performing here, we are making another byte variable here b, and then we are performing this here b plus 1 operation now. And let's just ignore these two. Let me just print this byte variable b. Okay, now here just assign this byte variable some value. Now here b is b plus 1. So here we have this byte variable b with the value 5, and here we are adding 1 to this byte value, and then we are printing this. So logically thinking, 1 should be added to this b and we should get 6 as our output. But when I run this, it will give me cannot convert from int to byte. So what is happening here is it will take this. So we know that it takes max amongst int, then type of a, and then it will take max of these three. So here in our case, it will take max amongst this int is by default present, it will be there every time. Then here these two are our operands. So here type of this b is byte, so it will take here byte, and then here this one. So by default any number we write hard coded, so this is hard coded, any number we write in our program is of type int. So always keep this thumb rule in mind that any number we write will always be of type int. So here this 1 also and this 5 also is of type int, but here since we are specifying this here, assigning to this variable, it will be considered as byte. But here this won't be considered as byte, this will be considered as int. And even if it is not considered as int, that isn't our concern. Here no matter if it is considered byte or it is considered int, it doesn't matter. But let's suppose now, for now, that it is considered byte. We'll assume that it is considered byte here. So amongst the max among these will be int. So it doesn't matter that what is considered. Here it will take max amongst int, byte and byte. So this will be int. So the resultant here, it will give the result 6. But this 6 is of type int. And we know that int cannot be implicitly converted to byte. We need to perform explicit typecasting here. So we would need to write here byte. And okay, so now I've added here. So if you might try to program this, you might also try to write this as this byte, and then you would run this. But when I just run this program, I will still get the error cannot convert from byte to int, because what is happening here is this is considered as one part, this operator is another part, and then this one is one part. So here it is converting this b to byte and then performing this addition operation. But we don't want that. We want that the addition is to be performed first and then convert the total result to type byte. So what we will do is we will simply put this b plus 1 in parentheses. So if we add this in parentheses, it will first go here and it will see that this is parenthesis. So it will first add this, then here inside this parenthesis would be 6. Then it will take this value 6 and then it will see that it needs to convert this into byte. The compiler will see that it needs to convert this into byte. So it will then convert the value 6 into byte and then we will get our answer. So when I run this, now finally I am getting 6 as my answer here. So this is the difference. So here whenever we are performing b plus 1, the resultant will always be of max amongst int, byte and byte. So now let me consider another example here. Suppose this, here I have this long variable, long L with the value 8, and here I have this int variable a, and here I'm simply doing long plus 1, and here I just print this value of this variable a. So when I run this, I'm getting error that cannot convert from long to int. So what is happening here is it will take max amongst int, and then type of this int, and then type of this operand a. So here this operand is of type long. So max amongst long, and then the type of this number. So it doesn't matter what it is, but we'll assume that it is int. So it will take max among these three. So here as you can see that this is 32, long is 64, and int is again 32. So it will take this maximum as long. So the resultant will be of type long. So this long cannot be implicitly converted to int. So we need to perform here explicit typecasting. So we need to specify that here. So now if I just write here int, and now I run this, then I'm getting 9 as my output. So what will happen here, to this long value, this 1 will be added, and then the total result 9 will be converted to type int, then it will be assigned to this variable a. So that is what is happening here. So I hope that this is also clear. Now let me take another example. So suppose I have this variable double d, and now okay, so now not double, just remove this call. Now suppose I have a long variable, the type here as the long variable with the value 5, and then I have this int variable with the type with the value suppose 8, sorry, I with the value 8, and then I have this byte here, this byte variable, and this is just I plus L. So I'm performing addition here, and then I'm printing this. So try to guess the output now. So when I run this, I'm getting an error that cannot convert from long to byte. So what will happen here is it will consider max amongst the default int value that is always present, then type of operand a. So here this we can say that this is one operand. So type of this operand, this I is int. So again here int, and then here long. So this L is of type long. So here int, and long. So it will take maximum among these three. So maximum here is long. The bigger one here is long. So it will take this bigger long, and the type of this resultant will be of type long. So we need to add here explicit type conversion. So when we do this, we will get here 13 as our answer. This 5 plus 8 will we get 13 as our answer, final answer. So whenever we use arithmetic operators, the data type of the answer is always max, and the maximum is int, then type of A and type of B, where A and B are operands. So here it would be max amongst int, byte and byte. So in this example here it would be max of int, byte, default int, then byte of this one, and here this one is considered as byte in this case. So as I said, it might be considered byte, it might be considered int, it doesn't matter, but it will be considered int type of A and type of B. So here it would be int, byte and byte, and hence the data type of result will be int, and we cannot assign int value to byte without explicit casting. We will get error. So I have explained this now. I hope that is clear. So the solution is to do explicit typecasting. So here when we add this explicit typecasting, we will get here 11 as our final answer. But keep in mind that you have to add these parentheses here, because it would consider this byte one part, then this plus one part, and then this one as another part. So to avoid that, add these in parentheses, and then cast the total final answer. So this 11 would be formed here We'll get 11 as our answer here, and then that 11 is converted into type byte. So now let's consider the example B example. So the example B, this one, this, and here we are doing this increment operation. So let us consider that. So even though we saw that b plus plus and b plus 1 are same in a sense, they are incrementing the value by 1. The difference is that we are not needed to perform explicit typecasting for b plus plus. It is performed internally by Java, so we won't get any error. So whatever we did this here, we needed to specify this byte. We aren't needed to do this when we write this b plus plus manner. So let me show that. So here I have this byte variable b with the value of 6, and then I write here b plus plus, and then when I print this, here we are getting 7 as our answer. So here this 6 is incremented automatically, and here we aren't needed to specify any typecasting. So when we would have done in this fashion, that b equal to b plus 1, then we would need to specify here explicit typecasting. But for b plus plus, we aren't needed to do that. Typecasting is happening, but it is happening internally. As programmers, we aren't bothered, or we don't need to do that. So even if I write here, I write this as byte here, then I will get error. So there is no point in converting it like this. So we aren't needed to do any typecasting when we are using this increment operation. We only need to do typecasting when we are performing arithmetic operation. But for this, the typecasting is happening, but it is happening internally, so we aren't bothered with that. So it is performed internally by Java, so we won't get any error. So that was it for typecasting. So I hope that it is clearly understood, typecasting. And for the this 2's complement and the binary to decimal conversion and all of this stuff, as I said, it requires the knowledge of Boolean logic and all of the binary, and that is a completely different subject. So even if you don't know this, don't bother much. But like I said, the important part to know is that the most significant bit represents the sign, and based on that, operation is performed. So keep that in mind.